Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Jim Lundy, founder, CEO, and lead analyst at Aragon Research. Today we're talking about seamless video interoperability. It's a big topic, and there's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts. And the main reason for that is business users want more. So today what we're going to do is talk a little bit about the two emerging things that people need for doing seamless video in the enterprise is what the business users are asking for and how IT is going to make it a reality. That's the new world era we're dealing with today in the enterprise is business users knowing that video can help them and they know that they can make it work and they're asking more from their IT brethren to help them in their quest to do more with video inside and outside of the enterprise. Before we jump right into the user needs, it's important to take a quick look at some of the things enterprises are asking for. A short case study. Large company, multinational, essentially had almost the equivalent of two different installations. Provider A in the US, provider B over in EMEA. And really what happened was they had multiple systems, multiple UCC platforms with video. The connectivity between them was not great. In fact, you could say it didn't happen. Mobility was maybe a little less than desired. Spending tons of money on connectivity between the countries. Very hard charges for wide area networking, also known as MPLS. And bottom line, higher costs than they needed to, millions of dollars a year more than they should have been spending, and very frustrated business users. So obviously the answer was to simplify, and some of the lessons that we learned from this case study kind of applies to some of the things we're seeing overall today in the enterprise. So let's talk about business users. The first thing that business users want is one-touch simple connectivity for their systems. Whether it's touching it to start something from a touchpad, an iPad, a Surface Pro, or whatever mobile device they have, they want to be able to start a meeting in their room or on their device and just make it all work. Leading providers such as Polycom are helping to make that happen, and users are really, they like that and they want more of that. So again, ease of use, we'll come back to this a couple times, but it really, in 2017, it's about intelligent systems that make it really easy for people to get work done and to start and end meetings seamlessly without having to type in long passwords. Training and conferencing. Do I have to take training to learn how to use my video conferencing system? The answer is no, you shouldn't. You shouldn't have to take complex training. It should be simple enough that it's intuitive enough. The system should have things we call progressive disclosure that basically allow the users to kind of figure things out, and when they want more advanced capabilities, it kind of discloses itself. That's a user interface design that leading providers are enabling. And systems should be able to auto-connect. So if it knows that different people using different connectivity types of endpoints are present, it should automatically take care of that. So bottom line is ease of use trumps everything, and you shouldn't have to take a lot of training or have an army of IT people waiting outside the conference room when you can't figure it out. Again, users are demanding more, and collaboration providers need to respond. So they really want that access. They want the quality. Again, quality is sometimes hard to judge, but users generally can tell good quality when they see it and when they hear it. So audio and video quality is absolutely front and center. And it's got to work in the context of how it works within their other work applications. So can I make my video conferencing system work with my Office suite, like Microsoft Office 365? That's an area of strength for Polycom. And again, I don't have to leave Office 365 to do all my meetings and my conferences. So a really big deal, because every minute that you get interrupted can result in 8 to 12 minutes of downtime before you get back to work. So if I don't have to go log out of one thing and jump into another one, it can just happen. That's a big deal. Users get that, and they're looking for that. That's kind of a watch-all. Like, does it work with what I have already? And on the quality front, again, it's hard to sometimes judge one provider from another, but when you start going from standard resolution to 720p to, again, HD 1080p, and then Ultra HD 4K, basically the lower resolution things start to look cloudy and fuzzy. So we think that the race to 4K is here. Today you can get 4K displays, and we think by the end of 2018 you're going to see a lot more full systems be able to broadcast in 4K. So that's coming. So it's important to understand roadmaps from providers. But today you can get 4K displays. The content when you're sharing slides and things like that looks phenomenal. And again, it helps with people remembering what they saw when they leave a meeting. And so quality sells. Quality is what it's all about. It's a better overall meeting experience when you can do it, at 1080p today, and again, 4K coming soon. We talk about IT requirements. A lot going on. So to summarize, we think there's 5 key IT requirements for enterprise video. You've got to have that ease of use, but it's got to be for IT administrators as well as for end users. It's not a one or the other. And some providers only tend to do one thing well, not both. So again, you need to look for that ease of use on both sides of the fence. One of the things that comes to mind relative to that is how hard is it for me to activate end users and both endpoints? Can they auto-configure? Can I bulk add people? And again, that's some of the areas that we've seen people like Polycom work really hard on. Do I have to rip out old equipment? Can I make it work together? And again, that's one of the things that some people say, no, you have to rip and replace. Back-end integration, again, can I make it work all together? I'll talk about that on the next slide. But the hybrid cloud support also is a big deal because that means I can support both cloud, newer things that are managed in the cloud, as well as on-premise legacy systems by connecting them together with an interoperability service. Speaking of that, again, the idea of I've got room systems, I've got mobile work users, I've got third-party room systems. How does that all work together? And again, last year in Enterprise Connect, we saw Polycom's demo with Microsoft of a stunning interoperability service. So again, that becomes critical when you try to engage with customers because they're not always going to have the same equipment that you do. So if you have a service that allows that, that's a big deal. The ease of connectivity, if I've got that connection, does it work? And finally, is that connection pretty much one button simple? For those of you that haven't tried to connect different systems together, it can be extremely hard, extremely frustrating. So again, when you can get the interoperability and it's automatic, again, non-trivial. Something definitely to look for when you start talking to providers. And again, finally, cloud and video. So cloud is the catchphrase. It's not just about public cloud in the sky. It's about private cloud in the data center. It's about hybrid cloud, connecting them all together. It gives enterprises an element of control back because they can start to look at interoperating systems between clouds. That can allow them to get innovation because they can do unique configurations and add third-party apps into the mix that they couldn't have before with sometimes a dedicated on-premise system. And that helps prevent lock-in because there's a multi-vendor environment. And again, by having the hybrid support, I've got the legacy covered. I don't have to rip and replace. And again, that makes for happy end users and a happy IT department because they can get going sooner rather than having to wait. To wrap it all up as far as what it looks like, last couple of years have looked more like the left-hand side of the slide, isolated tools. What we're looking for today is enterprise video platforms that kind of bring together conferencing, capture and recording, managing that content through content management and portals, and then be able to stream content live for meetings both internally and externally. Again, that's really what people are looking for in an enterprise video platform. When we look at providers, one of the vendors that has stood out over the last 4 years is Polycom. In our Aragon Globe for Web and Video Conferencing from last December in 2016, Polycom again scored very high marks for innovation and quality. Things we're seeing happening in the market right now is there is consolidation happening. There is innovation. Again, Polycom's won awards for their innovation in video and audio. And again, simplicity of the experience. Is it easy for users to use and interoperate with? Again, those are things when you look at all the providers that you should be watching for. And again, Polycom has been a leader for multiple years in this area. Future of work is here, and there's a number of components when you look at the future workplace. It's all about content, it's all about collaboration, it's all about video, and again, immersive meetings, sharing content in applications like sales. Again, making those real-time meetings work, voice and video via cloud interoperability, making sure it works with mobility, adding a predictive layer over time so that applications get smarter. That's really what the future of work is. A lot of times what I would say though, when you look at the video arrow, people tend to overlook that and they focus more on applications and content and they miss video. You can't miss that because companies that use more video generally have higher net promoter scores, which means their customers like them more and they think they're more fun to work with. So if you're doing more video, the probability you'll have a higher net promoter score is real and your employees will be happier and it'll be easy for your customers to interact with you and to get answers to common questions by finding the video support file. All that basically is about the future of work because the future of work is visual. So to summarize, the visual collaboration is here. Demand for video is rising. You need to look at the use cases to leverage video both internally, but most importantly, externally. Don't overlook simplistic, making it work easily and seamlessly. And then finally, don't wait. When you come back to the office next week on Monday, start developing a plan to make video part of your future work experience. You may already have some of it now, but if you have some of it now, how do I do more of that? And again, how do I infuse visual collaboration into all my different departments in my enterprise? This is Jim Lundy. I'd like to thank you for participating in today's podcast.